Grieving is a necessary passage and a difficult transition to finally letting go of sorrow. It is not a permanent rest stop. Dudinsky. There was a time when a widow was expected to wear black clothing for a year after her husband died. This showed her respect and love for him and alerted everyone that she was in grief. The problem with this practice was, what happened when the year was over? There was nothing designed to let the world know that she was still in pain over the death. It was assumed that grief suddenly ended on the first anniversary of his death, and she was thought to be back to normal. I can only imagine how glad she was to get rid of those black dresses. But I can also imagine how many times she wanted to shout, "But I still hurt," when the magic one-year day arrived. Almost every grieving person I have known has, at some time, said that the second year of their grief was harder than the first in some ways. Most have expressed surprise at that and have wondered why it was so. When I speak about grief beyond the first year, people are often shocked that there even needs to be a discussion about that. Somehow, we have a built-in idea that grief lasts 1 year and then it is over. This idea seems to be pervasive in our history. While a woman was wearing black, it was just understood that she was not to look at another man for that year. I can't find any such restrictions placed on the men of that day, but then women were the only ones allowed to grieve. Men were to be real men and suck it up and get on with their lives. How long? Some religious practices through the centuries have developed very specific guidelines for the appropriate way to grieve and the timelines within which to grieve. The one-year idea might have come from the customs of grieving, which have very specific and prescribed timeframes and activities that are supposed to take place. In the Jewish tradition, Aninut is the period from the moment of death until burial. The first week after the funeral is known as Shiva, the 7 days of intense mourning. The next stage of the mourning process is known as Shloshim, a 30-day period from the day of the funeral. Shnat Hayavel, the first year of mourning, is reserved only for those who have lost parents, during which the Kaddish is to be repeated daily. It is customary in some communities to keep the tombstone veiled or to delay in putting it up until the end of the 12-month mourning period. In the Muslim faith, the grieving period is identified as lasting for 3 days. For a woman whose spouse has died, she experiences the Edda, which lasts 4 months and 10 days. In the Hindu tradition, there are 13 days of official mourning. Roman Catholics are expected to pray for and mourn their dead for a year. So the basic message that grieving individuals receive from society, from history, from religious tradition, from common practices, grieving is all over the map. The time set aside and the people for whom we are supposed to mourn varies widely. Wherever the idea of the one-year period of mourning came from, the prevailing idea is that we should be well after 1 year, and when that doesn't happen, we are left wondering if there's something wrong with us. Since there is no standard for grief and everyone grieves in their own way and on their own schedule, we are all left wondering if we are doing it right. The second year is coming, and we are still caught up in our loss, which really brings on the self-doubt and fear that we are not doing our grieving in the right way.